Let's talk about AJ Preller, Padres GM, President of Baseball Ops. What is he like to deal with in negotiations and conversations? I mean, anyone who knows me knows I'm fascinated with the guy. I just want to know, like, because I've talked to him multiple times, but I just want to know from you, as like the agent point of view, what he's like in those negotiations.
No, AJ is very good. Now, I haven't had to do an ARB case against AJ. I'm sure he'd be formidable in that. But again, he is helping put the case together with whoever is going to present the case for the Padres. I'm not aware of whether he puts on the case or somebody else. I would think probably somebody else, but could be wrong. But in negotiating with AJ, he knows his stuff, and you have to know your stuff. And if he likes a player that you represent, hey, you're pretty fortunate because I've pitched him on a lot of guys in the past, and it really hasn't rung his bell. And so you know where you stand with them. But I think it's probably, let's just put it to you this way, it's a little bit more advantageous if you've got a player he really wants because he will do everything to try to get him with that ball club, which is the Padres. And, you want a GM like that because he wants to pursue somebody he thinks is going to win for the organization. And obviously, I think this organization is a tremendous organization. I've been in the city since 1983. I've had a lot of players in the Padres organization, and whoever is, in the ownership position is always proven to be, a good steward of baseball in San Diego. So I think AJ, he's creative. I think he's got a perfect ownership group now with the Seidler group, but because they're willing to put money behind what his thought process is. And as a general manager, and I'm speaking after not having been a GM, but if you're a GM, the perfect combination is if management listens to you and management gives you the resources that produce a winning team on the field. That's the best combination that you're looking for, and I think AJ has it with ownership here in San Diego, and hopefully, tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific time, it'll be the start of moving in the right direction as far as the playoffs and getting us to the promised land, which is the World Series and obviously a World Series title.
I sure hope so. With AJ, one more question about him. Has there ever been like a time where you're really pitching him hard on a player and maybe you think that he's going to bite on it. You think that he's going to give it to you or like contract wise, like money wise, but you just can't get there. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, and it not only money wise, but the perception is initially, hey, we have some interest, or
Uh-huh.
that interest you continue to pursue. But it's like in every, with every team or with every player, either that pursuit really starts to develop into something tangible, or it starts to fade away. And then you've got to read the tea leaves as to why it's fading away. And a lot of the times you're going to understand that not just from the individual or the club, you're going to understand that from the rumors that are, showing themselves out there in general media or social media. You start going, oh, well, that's why, I haven't gotten a return call.
Mhm.
It looks like they're onto this player, onto that player. But then the job that an agent has to do is vet that out and hopefully get an understanding that, hey, listen, is there still interest in my player, or has it starting to wane because I've read, are interested in X, Y, and Z? And
Mhm.
sometimes they say, no, that's not the case. We are interested, but we're dealing with a couple other issues, so we'll get back to you. Or whatever you're reading is not the case, but we do have interest in another player that might affect your player, but it's not the one that's being discussed in the media.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of, how should I say it? It's like a kabuki theater. You're constantly trying to find out the reality and the truth behind something, and that's part of the game that you're playing. It's cat and mouse because the off season and trying to sign players until you get something solidified, you don't know what you have until the deal is done. But more importantly, not the deal is done because you could do the deal. The main principle is if they pass the physical.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's the key.
Yeah. And I was going to ask this question a little bit later, but now that you kind of mention it, what is your kind of viewpoint on contract offers or trade offers being leaked through the media? Is it sometimes from your side of things, or is it mostly the teams? Or because I know like the trade deadline usually, the trade offers, I'm talking, the Scherzer thing with Ken Rosenthal, obviously. Like
Mhm.
that was for me, it felt like that's probably or it could have been Boris, but it feels like that was the Nationals trying to use the Padres to get more from the Dodgers. Like what are your thoughts on that happening?
No, it's part of the game. It's
Mhm.
definitely part of the game, and the media, is right in the middle of a lot of things. You have to trust whoever you're speaking to and have it positioned the right way. But yes, there's times that something is leaked from the player representation side of it, and sometimes it's leaked from the club side of it. But again, it's something that's not encouraged because you don't want to start, throwing out things right and left and then it not being true or what have you. But there's a purpose behind some leaks to get it, to get in advance of even the perception of the public, because there might
Right.
be, a leak that affects a certain organization, and all of a sudden the public is just absolutely, after it saying, we got to get this guy, we got to sign him, let's go. And that is a perception of, what's come down. And trust me, I've had some incidents where I haven't talked to the media at all and something is leaked and a general manager calls me and said, well, we're not gonna enter into this because this is now in the public mainstream, and we're not going to play that game. And I'm basically saying, well, listen, I didn't leak anything,
Mhm.
and they can believe me or not, but I tend to try to, be as honest as I possibly can because again, the only thing you have is your word at some time. And this off season turns into next off
Yeah.
season and then turns into 24 and 25. And so at some point you have to have a degree of credibility to another ball club that you're not trying to orchestrate something behind the scenes, and you don't know where it comes from. You really don't know where it comes from. And, a lot of times I've had some players that are upset even after they've signed saying, how come my salary's out there so quick? And
Mhm.
nobody knows. Nobody knows if somebody in the player at the Players Association or MLB leaks the money or the salary, but usually you just can't really comment on it into detail because it's again, it's against your common desire to get to have something out there, but it gets out there, trust me. And again, everybody, it's just like a sieve, everybody's leaking to some degree. And it depends on if that leak really, you can kind of pinpoint it down if that leak enhances or favors the player side or the organizational side. You be the guess of where that might be coming from.